One day closer to the season starting, we got to actually talk about a preseason game. It's getting real, folks. The Run It Back campaign for the Seahawks has begun, more or less. What's going on, everyone? Christian Pedersen back with another episode of Seahawks Digest, the show that is excited, even if it's not going to be any of the ones or only just some of the ones, to have a game coming up. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about roster moves. We're going to talk about health of players. We will, as always, as it seems like on every single episode, talk about the running back room. We're going to talk about that every single episode, probably until week 5 when Sharps is back. But you know what I say every episode: like, subscribe, comment, share, all those YouTube buttons I am supposed to tell you to push. First story I got for you today, as always it seems lately, is we're starting with the roster moves. Aaron Smith, another linebacker being added amongst the revolving door of linebacker moves that have been made, and Robbie Oates. Oates is on the outs. I'm horrible with names. My apologies there, Rob Dog. The move to sign a linebacker is less important to me than to sign or than the injury for the corresponding fullback. It might sound outdated to be discussing the fullback, but it seems a pair of details here are important. Brian Fleury has shown a lot of usage of fullbacks and tight ends so far in the little bits and pieces we have seen coming out from training camp. I also think that fullbacks are going to be important at least through the first 4 weeks, given that we have a running back room. I told you we're going to hit the running back room, but we will talk about other running backs later. We have a running back room that's going to do like running back by committee right now, but of all of the things that this group by committee seems capable of doing, just outright blocking is not any of their like top tier skills. So to have a guy who's just an absolute meat stick out there to hit like a Hulk go smash type vibes, I think is kind of a key thing to have early on with this roster. Speaking of things that are key to have early on with this roster, Devon Witherspoon is a key and is somebody who is playing under the premise of a contract negotiations, and he had an interesting quote come out about all of this that I think either he has excellent media training or he genuinely is in like really good headspace about this season, because contract negotiations, they can be something that derails a whole season. Here's the quote: "We've got a long season ahead of us, contract or not. We still got to play football at the end of the day. We have to be out there, be prepared. If you're not practicing, if you're not getting ready for the season, because everyone else in the league is practicing and they're getting better." That's where my mind is at right now. I'm focused on what I need to do right now. I'm not really worried about anything else. Like I said, that's either excellent media training or a guy who genuinely has his head screwed on right about the best thing for all of us, myself included, is to just keep winning, and not that him having some contract holdout or issue singularly could derail the entirety of the Seahawks season. But like, it's not a cliche entirely to just be like, oh, like a famous NFL player wants to be the highest paid is causing trouble or is, making waves within the locker room and on the field, isn't playing their fullest, or is doing is bringing attention to themselves. And for Witherspoon I think he could very easily be like, yeah, man, I'm ready to get paid. I've been working my ass off. I've been the best cornerback in the league. I'm a huge part. Like, he has every right to say and do all of that kind of stuff, but is not. And he's out here just saying that he's focused on it. So if it is lip service, great. If not, though, I think this is a good reflection upon both our opportunities to negotiate with him and get a contract done, but also just about what a good job the Schneider, Macdonald, and all in the front office and hierarchy of this organization do at keeping players' heads screwed on straight. Next thing I saw that I want to talk about before we get out of here, like I said, we got Dallas Cowboys, we got real football, and Sports Illustrated, everybody's America's #1 slop AI written article generator, has 4 Seahawks who need a strong preseason debut. I wanted to run down that list and see if you guys agree or disagree, what your thoughts are on all of these players. Brandon Pilley is #1, and I would agree not as a disservice to Pilley, but just as a statement and reflection upon the depth that the Seahawks have, especially in the defensive line category. We've seen a fair amount of linebacker turnaround. There seems like there's some secondary questions about having enough depth at quarterback, but one thing we have no issues with are the defensive line. Do we keep extra guys there for the sake of you'd like to have fresh legs for your edge rushers and your run stoppers and big bodies to throw at situations like that? Maybe, but it seems like it's more of linebackers and DBs that are going to be needed. So Pilley's going to need to absolutely get out there and ball out. So this one I agree with. One that I absolutely disagree with is Emmanuel Wilson. I think Wilson... And I told you, we'd talk about running backs. We talk about running backs every dang episode. I love me some running backs. I think Wilson has his job secured for the first 4 weeks. And if anything, I don't need him to go out there and be a training camp hero and turn into a regular season zero. Sure, there is a discussion about who's going to long-term fit into this room when Sharps comes back and things get a little bit more crowded, because this is not going to be a team that just singularly runs the ball and therefore needs 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 running backs. So when it's Sharps and Helani, Price, and Wilson, okay, cool. But for those first couple of weeks, I don't think that there is a bad option here. I think that Brian Fleury has a first-round pick, a guy who's been on the team the last couple of years, and a guy who's been an NFL running back already and can understand the assignments. And I kind of think that they are all getting slotted into a little bit of pass, a little bit of run, a little bit of power. I think everyone's going to be given split duties. And so I disagree saying that there's any pressure on Emmanuel Wilson to have himself any sort of a big game. Next one down, despite there being some Nick Eamon worry and Devon Witherspoon and other defensive back questions and comments, concerns about health and contracts and all that stuff, Nehemiah Pritchett is on this list, and I get it. It's third year. They want him to make that step and become the guy, or get out of the way and let somebody else become the guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So eyes on him. Never know fully what to make out of it in terms of like this article's like, oh, he'll have a great opportunity to really shut down some good receivers with the Cowboys. At the same time, we all know that preseason very quickly devolves into a lot of Joe Schmoes out there running routes who are going to end up being practice squads or like the bottom of the bench guys. So yes, no, it's not really that he has this like singular moment of needing to prove himself, but I can agree there's a little bit of heat on that seat. Last player that they're talking about here is Jalen Milroe, and I both agree and disagree with this one. I think less of saying that he needs to have a big one. I would just say my curiosity is what's his usage. If it's just plain quarterbacking, I would sit here and say, like, we don't really, like, it's Darnold. We have Darnold. And unless, I'm not even want to knock on wood, but if Darnold gets injured, then we can go to the second or third guy. But we don't really, we're not building a 2-quarterback system. There's been some discussion if maybe there's going to be some RPO or some specific stuff designed for Milroe because of what he is capable of and showing what he's capable of. And Brian Fleury is a new offensive coordinator, and so some good synergy for some breakout stuff. I think, though, there's also some discussion of, is Milroe an awesome trade asset for the Seahawks? So to sit here and say that he needs to have himself a big game, I kind of want to be like, no, because I don't want him dealt and I don't want him gone, but I kind of get at the same time where, like, if he has a fantastic preseason and then somebody in the first couple of weeks of the season has an injury somewhere, that can be a really good leverage spot to get draft picks, cornerback, any sort of capital consideration that the Seahawks could need. So that's a weird one for me. Like a little bit of gatekeeping, like, no, man, we want Milroe. But then also, like, realistically, Sam Darnold has several more years ahead of him, hopefully, with the Seahawks. So we don't need the quarterback competition. All right, that's what I got for you on this episode. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all those other YouTube buttons. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.